Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody to Adams Polish's weekly live video on Wednesday. Just as a reminder, we do this every single Wednesday, except when I'm on vacation. So I'm sorry I missed last week. It was my kids and my wife's spring break, so I took the week off. We were actually planning to going to Moab, but it was 40 degrees and raining there. So we said, nah, instead we'll go to the mountains where it's snowing to maybe catch more cold than we would have. But anyways, took some time off last week, so I'm sorry we missed last week, but back this week, and the weather's starting to flip here in Colorado, and I think like in a lot of the nation. So we're kind of coming out of that winter climate when washing is sort of down, and you're just not washing as frequent, so you're not necessarily giving your car the love that it deserves more consistently. So a lot of times when you come out of winter, you want to do like a nice spring wash, and we actually did that as a live video a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't seen that, go to our YouTube page. If you go to our channel on the top, there's there's little links. One says videos and one next to that says live. You can see all the live videos that we've shot and posted there on our YouTube channel. So if you're wanting to see, I think we've done spring washing, we've done application of advanced graphene ceramic coating, we've done one-step polish. There's a lot of different topics we touch on, and each week is kind of like that. We just pick a random topic, something maybe that's relevant, and in which this week, iron remover is relevant. So I mean, as everybody knows, this year has been sort of a hectic winter for like everyone in the nation, and that doesn't exclude Colorado. And what happened a lot, it snowed consistently this year. And what happens on cars is when it snows consistently and you're driving through crazy weather and snow on the road, you get iron fallout is what most people would call it, or iron contamination. It's called a lot of rail dust. It's called a lot of different things. And so on a white car, silver car, like a light color car especially, you can really see the contamination on it. And there's really only one way to remove that, and that is with iron remover. Okay, so this is iron remover right here. And this is a product we sell. It's actually one of our top sellers on Amazon, if you can believe that. But it's a really, really great product to decontaminate your car from iron fallout, things like that. Now, I've kind of explained this before. I'm trying to think of like the best way I can do this. Here you go. Let's take this thing right here. Okay, this. Okay. Now, what happens is, so number one, like kind of where iron comes from. Let's just talk about that really quick. Trains. Okay. That's why it's called rail dust. So a lot of new cars that get transported on train have a ton of iron contamination. So if you were buying a new car that was transported from Mexico or across the country on train, it's going to have iron fallout. Guarantee it. Okay, it's going to have rail dust. Now, other places you can get it. If you work at a machine shop, if you work near a metal shop, I would say the most common place you get it though is from the road. Okay, so as everyone knows, a lot of people who have performance wheels have metallic brake dust in it. Okay, not only does the metallic brake dust get on your wheels, but it also gets on the road. It also gets into the snow, okay? And when the snow hits your car and sticks to it, those iron particles do this. They embed, let's say that this is your paint microscopically, okay? They embed like this into your paint, okay? So what you have is maybe an iron particle like this that's sticking out, protruding, but you also have it all the way inside there, protruding into your paint like this, okay? So this is what iron fallout kind of looks like, okay? Now, with the clay bar, okay, you can remove this portion of it, okay? You can get the surface portion of the iron contamination, but how do you get the rest of that iron contamination? Because what happens is the iron, when it goes in, looks black, okay? It's metal. But as it gets touched with water and things like that, it turns orange because it rusts, okay? So when you say orange, you say, oh gosh, I have all these orange specks all over my car. Well, first off, it could be orange paint, or most commonly it's gonna be iron fallout that's embedded into your paint. So the way that you fix that is you take an iron remover, you spray this on here, it attacks the embedded iron inside of your paint, and it melts it away and pulls it out, and it takes away the orange specks, okay? So that is the intention of this product, okay? This isn't, so what I'm gonna talk about is the process of which I would perform a iron decontamination, because I think it's different than what most people would think, okay? So that's what the whole purpose of iron, I hope that's like a great way to show that. But what we're trying to do is get something that we cannot remove with a clay bar. Granted, we can remove the protruding pieces of the iron, but we can't remove the stuff that's embedded inside of our paint. So first things first, what I want to do is, instead of trying to remove the extrusion of the iron, because the easiest way to do that is just to clay it, right? Because if I clay it, not only am I claying the iron protrusions, but I'm also claying the paint overspray, tree sap, road tar, things like that, all in one fell swoop. So I'm gonna do that first. And then after we're done doing the claying part, then we go through and we use iron remover, because again, we're trying to get the embedded pieces of the iron, okay? Now, before I start getting into this, I want you to know this is a place for questions, okay? This is a safe space for detailing enthusiasts, okay? So any questions are accepted. It doesn't have to be about iron remover. It doesn't have to be about decontamination. If you have questions about graphene ceramic coating, polishing, just general questions about washing, all open. And what I want you to feel like is, during this hour or so, you're just here hanging out with me. And if you have questions, great. If you want to just hang out and watch, and you have to be quiet because you're at work hiding from your boss, that's fine too. So,
does wheel cleaner share any similar chemicals with iron remover?
It does, actually. Wheel cleaner has the same raw chemical in it. It's called thioglycolate, okay? You can even look that up. Thio, I think it's is it Y? Thyo glycolate. I-O? Thioglykole. Thioglycolate, all right? And actually, if you go on our YouTube and look up, if you search Adams Polishes behind the process, you'll see we did a video on thioglycolate with Chris, our chemist, and it is like awesome. It's a total awesome video. So if you want more in-depth explanation about like what thioglycolate is specifically, go watch that video, okay? Anyways, thioglycolate essentially like attacks metallic, anything metallic, and it essentially melts it away. And the natural reaction of that is for it to turn purple. So someone was just talking about wheel cleaner. Wheel cleaner turns purple, and that's the thioglycolate reacting with the metallic particles, metallic brake dust for the most part. Now, if you have wheel cleaner and you don't have iron remover, you could essentially dilute down your wheel cleaner. The reason why we don't use wheel cleaner is because, first off, it's a gel formula, okay? The gel formula essentially like spits out in small areas. So if you're using wheel cleaner, on the back of your car, you'd use a whole bottle because it doesn't spread and spray like iron remover does. Sorry, Chris. But iron remover spreads and sprays on a larger area. So it's a better performing product when it comes to iron decontamination. Okay.
How important is it to agitate the iron remover after you spray it on?
It's not really that important. It's so someone asked, like, how important is it to agitate the iron remover after spraying it on? If you have not clayed your car, then you could probably agitate it. But the process that I'm going to show you, which I personally feel is like the best process for this, is claying it first to get the protrusions gone and the paint overspray and all this stuff. And then you're working on getting the embedded paint, the embedded iron that's like stuck inside of your paint. So even if you agitated it, you're not really going to be doing much because you're trying to get the stuff that's like embedded into your paint. Iron fallout or iron decontamination is like tiny little pieces of shrapnel that are like stuck into your paint, right? And so what you do is you remove the protrusions with clay, and then you remove the embedded shrapnel that's inside your paint with the iron remover. So what I did first is I actually washed Matthew's car. So I did the mitt and everything. It's washed. The soap is starting to dry on here. So what I want to do first is rinse this off. And I'm going to show you my favorite way to use the clay mitt, to remove bonding contamination first and foremost.
Is this safe on ceramic coatings?
This is 1,000% safe on ceramic coatings. And in fact, I would say this is a process you should do on a ceramic coating like maybe every 4 to 6 months. It's just gonna help it. Like, listen, your ceramic coating is not like, it's not like bulletproof where the metal particles won't embed itself into the ceramic coating and paint. It's still gonna do that. So it's actually like a really great process to do. And the chemical is not strong enough to ruin a ceramic coating or a graphene ceramic coating. So this thing that I'm doing right now, if your car had been ceramic coated and you're like into 6 months to a year, this process will be very beneficial for you. Okay, so I would pay attention to this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to clay this vehicle with a clay mitt, but I'm gonna do it kind of during my washing process. So imagine like I just finished my 2-bucket wash, but I haven't rinsed the car yet. So I'm gonna rinse the car, but I'm not gonna dry it. I'm actually gonna foam it again, and then we're gonna get into the clay. So when you're rinsing a car off using hard water, you wanna rinse the shaded side first so it doesn't dry and spot on your car. So I always start, you can always see like your car casts shadows here, right? So I'm gonna rinse like this. Okay, I'm not gonna go into the sunny area because I want to avoid getting water spots. And Chris, once I get this rinse off, you should try to see if you can see some of the orange specks. Might be kind of hard in camera, but you should be able to see it pretty good actually. You know, iron remover, you said my dad? My dad asked, is iron remover good for removing water spots? Iron remover is not gonna really do much for water spots. It's not really a product designed for that. We have a product called water spot remover. It's an acid-based water spot remover. I personally tend to avoid water spot remover. It's sort of a quick fix type of product, something that we had, for some reason, had a lot of demand for from customers. But I tend to, like when I'm removing water spots, like my shower, I get water spots in my shower crazy. I have like a glass shower, right? I don't use water spot remover on that. I just polish it. I just use a blue foam pad and I use blue compound and I just polish it and it makes it perfect. And I think for me, it just makes it look good anyways. And then I protect it with ceramic or whatever. But I tend to polish water spots off if they're really bad versus using water spot remover. That's just like a personal, it's kind of an old school way of doing it. And I think that's just my personal preference, so. Yeah, right, Matthew? Well, dude, so get this, right? I came out here to get Matthew's car nice and clean. Oh, Matthew Hill? Okay. Well, I'm not talking about Matthew Hill's car, but anyways, Matthew Hill, I came out here to clean his car really quick. I was trying to do like a little 30, 45 minute wash on his car, and his wheels were so bad with brake dust. And actually, like I don't know if you can see this, Chris, in the barrel of this wheel, all the way in the back, he has like oil or grease or something way back there. It was so tough to clean these wheels. It took me about 45 minutes to clean the wheels by themselves. So what that means is you guys have to watch me wash for a second before. Yeah, so iron remover works on any color, but I'd say like, you know, if you have a dark color car, like a black color car or charcoal color car, you probably won't see the effects of what iron remover is doing. You won't see the effects when you're not using it because you can't really see the black and orange specks that are on your car, on a black car or charcoal car. On white cars, silver cars, you can really see the iron contamination that's in it. So, you know, on a black car, I would say, like, if you don't feel like doing this process, great. But the one thing I will say is the performance enhancement of your ceramic coating after doing this process is a benefit. So, you know, when you get like iron contamination in your car, like again, I was telling you, like the iron has protrusions coming out and then you have paint overspray on a ceramic coated vehicle. Oftentimes that allows water to grab onto things and it flattens the water out, right? So when you do an iron remover decon and a clay mitt decon, and a clay mitt is not aggressive enough to mess up your ceramic coating, any ceramic coating for that matter. So I every about 3 to 4 months, I do this process on my ceramic coated car, and it just, my car comes back to beating again because I'm taking off stuff that's like sticking to it, right? Because the ceramic coating is not void of getting paint overspray or tree sap. You know, it might be a little bit, it might be easier to clean, but this is still something as like a maintenance type of process that you should be doing even on a ceramic coated vehicle. So yeah, like on a dark color car, you may not see, you know, the orange specks go away because you won't be able to see them anyways. But on a black car that's ceramic coated, you will see a performance enhancement after doing this process. So. Okay. Javier says, can I use iron remover on oxidized calipers and rotors? You know, Javier, I would say yes, but honestly, like, I'd just be using wheel cleaner for that, you know. And realistically, like, if your calipers are fading, like if they're starting to oxidize, what I would strongly recommend you do is pull your wheel off and polish it. Okay, like oxidation is not from iron fallout, it's more from, you know, heat and things like that. So if they're oxidized and looking dull, then I would say pulling them off and polishing them, whether it's with the micro polisher or even the 12mm mini polisher. Okay, so got this thing rinsed off. So what I did essentially is I rinsed off any sort of loose sediment that was on here. So I know the car's like nice and clean. So I'm gonna foam it again, and then I can use the clay mitt. But come look at this, Chris. I don't know if you can see this. It almost looks like there's little dirt specks on there. Yeah. Can you see that?
Yep.
By chance? That, for everybody watching, is iron fallout, okay? That's the, and I can feel it, okay? So I know when I use this clay mitt, I'm gonna remove these protrusions, but they're still gonna be there, okay? So let's see if I can just quickly. So I run this over the top. This feels smooth now, but the dots are still there, okay? So those might be a little hard to see, but anyways, yeah, so it's really bad down here. It's like in abundance. It looks like he has orange pearl in his paint, which is like, and honestly, like the back of your car is gonna be the worst no matter what, okay? So even if I clay this, they're still gonna be everywhere. So claying it's gonna help a little bit, but you still need to go through it and do the iron remover. So that's what the process I'm getting ready to do right now. I just wanted you to see, like, on a white car, it's very obvious. You can absolutely see the fallout that's on a white car. So I'm using Mega Foam, and the Mega Foam is like, I poured a lot of a gallon in here. So I'll show you. I actually been setting up my, foam cannons like this. This is like a quick Joe tip for you guys. I put this much water and I put this much Mega Foam. I mean, I had like half of a Mega Foam bottle. I emptied it in here, okay? And the reason for that is because you have this tool on your foam cannon at the top, okay? So if you turn this counterclockwise all the way, when you push it, it's gonna come out like water. See that? it's bypassing the straw that's pulling. Okay, so what I like to do is get it super concentrated in here, then I pull the trigger and then I start dialing this up until I get to the point of, like, that's just very thin. That's megafoam, very thin soap. Or I can start cranking this up to where it gets really thick, okay? But you'll see, like, once I get done with this, I only have used like this much megafoam because I'm allowing this piece to dilute it versus like diluting it in here, okay? So got to go to the sunny side first because I'm trying to avoid water spots from happening.
Tony says it's crazy how many customers try to tell me their cars are rusting under warranty, and he says, and your bumper is plastic, which rusts how?
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to put a nice even layer of megafoam on here so I can use it as my lubricant for my clay mitt, okay? What happens if the megafoam dries? I mean, it starts eating away at your paint instantly, and then...
It actually spontaneously combusts.
Exactly. Sniper mode, ready? Boom, all right. I just wasted that whole thing back there. Okay, so look how much, it looks like I didn't even use any megafoam, right? It's because it's so concentrated in this container. Like, if I wanted to, I could make it like super, super thick, but it's kind of unnecessary. Like, I just want it to be at a point where it's a decent amount of foam that it's not gonna come falling off the car, okay? So then all I do is I put that in my container, not my container, in my cabinet, and then it's just, my solution's always in there. So it just makes it, I think in my mind, it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so.
But if
foam.
While you're doing this, if the megafoam dries, is that a concern?
While you're doing this, if the megafoam, oh, sorry, we made a joke about that, never explained it. If megafoam dries on your car, it's actually more safe if it dries on your car than if the regular water dries on your car, okay? All of our car soaps, including our strip wash, are pH neutral. What that means is I mean, not necessarily what that means, but like it's very safe for your car, but the soaps encapsulate the minerals that are in your water. So when the soap dries on your car, they're still holding on to the minerals. So even if it dries, it's fine. When you hit it with the water again, essentially rehydrates it, dilutes it, and it just falls off of your car. So all of our soaps across the board are completely safe to they're actually more safe to dry on the surface of your car than water coming from your hose. So
if it dries, no water spots.
Yeah, so if it dries, no water spots. But as soon as you rinse the soap off, now you're racing against the clock because the hard water is just sitting on your car without the soap.
Unless you have a deionizer.
Yeah, unless you have a deionizer, but still, like, your deionizer is not forever.
Yeah,
it's
better.
Your deionizer is for like something like 200 washes or something like that, you know? Don't forget to clay your glass either. Now, I'm just gonna say this is my favorite way to do a maintenance clay on a vehicle because, you know, I'll say this, like before I polish a car, I do it a little bit different. I use the visco clay, take my time. This one I'm just kind of doing fast. But again, the reason why I'm doing this is to get as much of the iron fallout, the protrusions of the iron fallout off. But then we take the iron remover after. And there's also a reason why I like doing it this way. And it's a tip that I'm going to talk about here in a second. And also, by the way, I forgot to mention, we are doing a giveaway. So make sure you stick around to the end of this live because we're going to give away, I'm going to give away 1 gallon of iron remover, and I'm also going to give away one of the essentially the kit. I'm gonna give away a clay mitt, an iron remover 16 ounce, and a gallon of iron remover.
Javier says, is iron remover safe on mirrors, windows, and black plastic?
Is iron remover safe on windows, mirrors,
Black plastic.
black plastic? I would say yes. The only thing I would say about that is I would avoid letting the iron remover fully dry on plastic. It can react with it. So I'm gonna actually show you, there's sort of a, it's sort of a loaded question. And actually part of the process I'm gonna be talking about today addresses that exact thing of like going on plastic and how to manage that. Oh man, tired.
Nicholas says, my ceramic glass coating seems flat on my windshield after 2 months. Is there a way of rejuvenating it, or do I need to reapply?
Well, first I would say, Nicholas, clay or glass and see if that helps. You know, oftentimes you may have, I don't know, you may have parked somewhere and got like a ton of paint overspray that you aren't sure if that happened or not. So I always start there. Sometimes that can help. But I would say, you know, I'll be 100% honest. The glass coating on my cars are not there either. It didn't last as long as I expected, but the reason for that is because I pretty much doubled the usage of it and doubled the usage of my windshield wipers. So like anytime your windshield wipers are running, you know, they're abrading the surface. So because this winter has been so gnarly, you know, everything on my car like didn't last as long. It accelerated the you know, I don't even know what you call it, but like it accelerated the amount of time it's gonna last on your car, meaning like it's not lasting as long. So I know that coming out of this winter that's been pretty crazy. I mean, even in California, you know, I was talking to Anthony, who runs our California store. He said like he's never seen it rain that much in Southern California in his life. So
Question on the rain in California.
yeah.
Ken says, is iron fallout a big problem in areas like Southern California where we don't have snow but get a lot of rain?
Iron fallout is a problem everywhere. Like it's not
Everywhere that trains and brakes operate
anywhere that cars drive,
is iron.
which I think is everywhere, it's gonna be there, you know. And that's not like, it's not like you're doing anything wrong or driving in a wrong place. It's just, you know, you're driving next to cars who are braking, and the metallic brake dust, it's like pouring out of these brake pads. It's just going up against your car. And here's the thing too, like your brake dust as well is like, that's why there's so much. If you look right here, this part looks dirty on his car. Like this looks dirty. All that is iron fallout everywhere. That's because this brake dust is just smashing against this.
Because you've already been over this with a wash pad.
Wash pad and a clay mitt.
And still suspect.
And you'll see, I'll start there. I'll spray the iron remover. Sorry. I'll spray the iron remover there first if you want, but that says the brake pads on this Audi have so much metallic brake dust. Like when you clean his wheels, I mean, you can see it. The brake dust is embedded into his car. I couldn't get it off. It's so gnarly. And that's just most performance car manufacturers like Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche. You know, if you have a performance type of vehicle, so you have a Mustang GT500, you have a Camaro, Corvette, metallic brake dust is a part of your reality. And a lot of times that's why you kind of need this.
How often should we be doing this with iron remover?
I'd say like every time you do a maintenance clay, which is like every 3 to 4 months, you should do this process. Okay, so I just did a maintenance clay on the vehicle, okay? So I'm happy with it. Now, I think what most people would want to do now is go rinse the whole car, right? But I don't want to do that, okay? The reason why I don't want to do that is because, again, having the soap and water mixture on the car is more safe than having hard water sit on his car. If I rinse this whole car and I start doing iron remover and the whole front of his car is drying, it's just water spot central. Now I have like bigger issues. I need to like polish the car and do all this stuff. I want to avoid that. So the way that I'm avoiding that is I'm going to rinse the area that I'm going to work with iron remover in first, do the iron remover, because it's going to take a few times. It's not just like spray iron remover on, let it sit for 5 seconds and rinse it off. It is a total process, okay? And that's what I'm going to get into right now. But leaving the soap on the car is more safe than rinsing the whole thing. So like I said, so now what I would do personally is I want to leave the side in the sun with the soap on it, no matter what, because it's the safest way to deal with the car right now. While I do the iron remover, what I would do is rinse the area in the shade first, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rinse the area in the shade like this. And I'm not going to work in huge sections. I'm just going to go to this door right here. I'll even prove to you how much brake dust is on these wheels. I'll spray these down again. Okay, we'll wait. So, like I said, I'm going to start here because, so you just take the iron remover and you spray a nice even layer of it onto the car.
And now we wait.
Yeah, and then you just, it's starting to do it right now, I can see it. But and this is the part that's like, when you do an iron remover, you're like, oh man, make sure you have a good playlist, you know, because you're going to be like hanging out here. I mean, realistically, I'd probably do more. It's a little bit cooler of a day, so I know this isn't going to dry too much. Now your glass doesn't really get iron fallout in it. Your glass is such a different material than your paint. So I don't really spray it onto the glass. Okay, so come over here, Chris. So if you look down here, you can see it's like turning purple, and you know, and especially like right here, this is a good example of it running like crazy. Okay, so the iron remover, the thioglycolate in the iron remover is attacking the metallic particles that are embedded into the paint, and it's essentially like turning his car, not turning his car purple, but it's the natural reaction of the thioglycolate with the iron material that's embedded into the paint. That natural reaction of the thioglycolate breaking down the iron particles is it to turn purple. Just like when you spray it on your wheels, and your wheels, they start to bleed purple. It's that natural reaction of thioglycolate. And so what I'm doing right now is I sprayed down this whole side of the car, and I'm just letting it do its thing. The longer you let it dwell and work, the more it's gonna do. So like you can see down here, it's like in the areas where it's getting hit with like brake dust and things the hardest is where you're gonna see it the most. And I think one thing for me too is like, you know, if I didn't clay this, it would probably be more purple, because maybe sometimes you have metallic particles that are sitting on the surface as well. So getting rid of that with the clay mitt is just so much easier, you know, versus like sitting here waiting. It's getting more intense over here, Chris, if you want to see it. You can see this stuff running like crazy. See that?
Yep.
And especially down here, it's like really, just like, again, this is like probably the thing that's closest to his brake calipers, which are right here, okay? The metallic brake dust, he's driving, it's coming out and it's hitting all this area right here. But it's getting, I mean, the longer you wait, the more intense this is gonna get. Like this whole side of his car is starting to get, you see the purple running down. And that's the product working right now, you know? So one tip, I don't want the iron remover to fully dry on his car. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is sort of monitoring where we're at, you know, if it's starting to dry or not. It's probably 50, well, I can tell you, it's 48 degrees right now where I am. And so it's sort of like giving me more time. When it's colder, water doesn't evaporate as fast, okay? So the water in this is not evaporating as fast, so that's why I can work in a little bit larger of an area. But again, it's another strategic move for me to not do it on the sunny side first. I'm letting the soap protect that side from water spots while I manage my iron decon on this side. Okay, so as I start to see areas start to dry a little bit, I mean, this is like getting really intense. This is awesome. You guys see this? Can you see it?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, cool. So like right here, okay, this is starting to dry right in here, okay? The iron remover is starting to dry here. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna rinse this off, okay? So we rinse this off. You'll see it will look like soap's coming off, okay? So rinse this off. And actually before I even started, it was completely flat on here. So this is actually like helping a little bit. All the areas that I just did the iron decon on, I'm rinsing that off right now, okay? Actually, I need to do it on there. Now I'm gonna show you another tip that you can use that might help a little bit, okay? So one other way you can do this, because I think a lot of times I do it like this when I'm rushing, but when I'm trying to do it like more in depth, like there's so much water on his car right now, when I spray this, it's gonna dilute it, okay? So oftentimes what I'll do is I will have, I thought I had one over here. Oh, it's on the ground. Okay, forget it. I'm just gonna grab a towel, like a drying towel. So I'll just grab like a drying towel and I'll just like quickly hit the area that I'm gonna be working in. And I'm not trying to get this like perfectly dry. But what I wanna do is like, I don't want the excess amount of water on the car to dilute the product any further. So I got more of the water off. Then what I can do, respray this. Again, I'm working in the shade right now.
Marco says, so I shouldn't store my drying towels on the floor? Just kidding.
Probably not. Yeah, Marco. I mean, you can if your floor's clean.
And
but
you want to polish your car.
Exactly. So since it's a little bit cooler of a day and this is gonna take a little bit longer to work, I'm just gonna keep moving around the car. So, and what I'll do, I'll show you like once, I'm gonna do it on the back here. Once it gets in the sun, the product starts to dry a lot faster. And so I sprayed iron remover all the way to here. I'm aiming this way so I don't rinse any of it off. Okay, so rinse the soap off. Now, another reason why I rinse the soap off is the soap will actually like encapsulate the thioglycolate and make it like not effective, you know. So
Would you say you use a 16-ounce bottle for decon on a vehicle, or half bottle? Or...
That's actually a really good question. So depending on how often you do this process determines how much product you're going to use. So like Matthew has never sprayed iron remover on his car ever. I don't think he's ever even clayed it. So the amount...
He commented earlier saying, I wondered what those orange specks were.
Yeah, so the amount of decontamination I need to do on his car is in excess. I mean, it's like more than you would ever know. So in that case, I'm probably going to be using more product today with his stuff, you know? So we'll let this start working. It will not harm the glass, no. I would say like the areas that it probably, that make me the most nervous is the
dark
plastic. And the reason for that, so check this out, like if you spray this on the glass and you get it onto the plastic, because you have your drying towel with you, I would just wipe this off, okay? The reason for that is some manufacturers use metallic dye for their plastic. So the black color in this actual plastic, not this specifically, but some auto manufacturers, I think Dodge is one of them, they will dye this with a metallic black and they won't put anything over it. Okay, so if you use iron remover, because the dye is metallic, it will actually attack that as well and it will leave spots in here. Okay, so what I tend to say is like, if you get it on plastic, and that's why I wanted to show you guys as I manage this, you know, I like to use a towel before I spray iron remover on, and it also gives me the ability to wipe it off of plastic in areas I don't want it to sit and dry. Okay, so that's also why I like to have that towel with me. So yeah, like on the back, it's a little bit more intense, you know, it's like right here, it instantly started reacting. In here, especially up here, it's just, there's much more contamination back here. But the thing is, this is gonna dry much faster than this side over here. So as I sprayed that, you can keep looking at that, Chris, because I think that's a great visual. As I sprayed that, I'm coming back over here to monitor to see if the iron remover has dried on the surface over here, and it hasn't. But again, this whole side of his car is like bleeding purple again. So I know that it's just like a process I'm going to have to, you know, spray it on, rinse it off, spray it on. If it keeps bleeding purple, rinse it off, spray it again, you know, so it can take a little bit of extra time, but the effect that it has on a light colored car is like, it's really good. Come check this out, Chris. So this area that I said is like, has the most contamination. Remember, we hit this with iron remover already. It's still, I sprayed it again. I think it's actually gonna be better after I rinse this off because I took a lot of the water off. So I really sprayed the iron remover like directly onto this. But again, this part where his, the area that's closest to his brake calipers is, I mean, it's so interesting. Like literally there's almost like a line right here where there's like not a lot of iron contamination here, but there is like a ton over here. And that's because his wheels, you know, driving and slinging it back this way. So you can also, like, as this starts to dry out a little bit, you can do quick hits with the iron remover just to like keep it going.
So you don't want to let it dry?
You don't want it, I mean, you can let it dry a little bit, but you don't want it to like dry and sit there for a long time. So let's check the back. Like it's probably getting, yeah, this is, the back on every car is always the worst because I mean, think about it. If you live in an area where it snows, the back of your car is always the dirtiest. And that's where a lot of the iron fallout. And remember, I clayed this. So, you know, that again, my point to this is like the iron is embedded into the paint, and that's I'm using an iron remover to remove the embedded iron particles that are inside the paint, not outside of it, right? So, I mean, even on his cargo box, it's like purple in these areas,
Do you
right?
want to talk about spraying technique?
Spraying technique?
Yeah.
I can talk about that. So spraying technique.
Not just for this, but for everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think spraying technique is like the more you detail, the more you get picky about this stuff. And listen, I never understood. Adam used to make fun of me all the time for the way I sprayed product. And I was like, dude, screw that guy. He's just an old man on his pedestal, you know? But as I did it more and learned about detailing, it's like I'm very picky on how I manage my sprayer and like how I'm doing things, right? And like this, Chris brings up a great point. When I'm using this product, I can show it to you kind of here, Chris, if you can see, like if I sprayed this on here, like I don't want this to spit out like that. It covers this big of an area, okay? What I want to do is as I spray iron remover on the surface is I want it to cover this big of an area this time, okay? So like it's called atomizing the product. That means like when you pull it, it mists a finer mist that covers a bigger surface area, right? So I stay a little bit further away and I spray it so it mists on there. But right now it's windy. It's starting to get windy. What's up, Kane?
Hello.
Show Kane. That's Kane, everybody.
Hey guys.
But if it's windy, I got to stay a little bit closer. And then what I'll do is I'll still pull it hard, but maybe do like a half pull. So I'm covering a specific area and it's not floating all up in the air. It's just like I'm just getting certain areas. And I always move the sprayer as I spray. I don't want to do this kind of thing because then it starts running down and it gets into areas I don't want it to get into. So I'm always like thin spray as I move my hand. It's like it's putting a more, yeah, I'm getting Chris. I'm getting a bigger area, just being more effective. This is gnarly back here. I'm gonna check this side again really quick.
Does anybody know the brand of that cargo box? Looks great with the white car.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I don't know.
Matthew's still on, he should say.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like an Audi thing or not, but it does look pretty sweet. The topo map, come on, dude. That's like big baller status. Okay, so check this out. This is actually kind of a cool thing. Kane just pulled up in this Ford Raptor, and this thing is a winter beater, right? See all the salt grime on this? You can see where his wheels are kicking up dirt and grime all across this car. And remember I said, you know, the back is the most dirty? It's hard to see, not in the sun, but these areas where the dirt is the most prevalent is where the iron contamination is going to be the most, right? Like it's just because the snow sticks there, it gets embedded into the paint, and then this is the process you do. Remember, again, I clayed this and it's still going crazy with the iron.
Pedro says Buddy needs to renew his registration.
Does he? Probably.
Yeah.
What?
This month.
I think you have, what is it, like 30 days after it expires?
Yeah.
I'm sure Matthew's got it figured out, dude. He's a smart kid. Dude, my registration for my 4Runner just came in. It's like 40 bucks.
Oh, I hate you.
I know. Awesome.
That's like 200.
So this was starting to dry on the back here. I don't know if you want to see this, Chris, if I rinse this off, but I'm going to be rinsing this up here. So again, I don't want this to dry on the car. So I'm just, once it gets to a point where it's drying, then just rinse it off. And then, like I said, take this guy. I like folding my drying towels. It's just a better experience for me. Like that. We'll just try to get the excess water off. And then I'm going to spray this down again. So for everyone watching, if you have any questions, please ask them now. You know, if they're specific to iron remover, or if you're like, hey, what's the next step, or any questions. But I'm going to wrap up here in a second. We're going to pick the winners today for the gallon of iron remover, as well as the iron remover kit, which is going to be the clay mitt, an iron remover gallon, and an iron remover 16 ounce.
Question, so you just spray it, let it do its job, and then rinse, that's it?
Yeah, because there's nothing really there's nothing I can do physically to make it any more effective. Because again, remember, I don't know if this person was watching earlier, but essentially this is how I explained it earlier. Let's see if I can figure this out again. Here we go.
Don't stop yourself.
It's the first time Chris has ever looked out for my best interest.
Hey.
Okay, so this is essentially like what, microscopically, it's like a shrapnel of wood, okay? So let's say that these crates are your paint, right? What happens is it's going like, let's do it this way. It's going like this, okay? That's what the iron contamination is like. So it's kind of cool we do it like this because you can see through the saran or the shrink wrap. So what I did is all the iron contaminations like this on his car, right? So first thing I did, I washed it. Your wash is not going to remove this, okay? Before I start doing my iron remover process, I clay the car, whether it's with a clay mitt or a visco clay. I don't care what clay you use. The clay mitt, I'm telling you, is the easiest to do while washing, okay? So what I did is I rinsed the car off after actually washing it with a mitt, got all of the sediment and everything off of it from washing. I re-foamed it, okay? Because I'm now gonna use the foam as my lubrication tool to clay. So then I foamed it. You can see it, unorganized Joe, I just have everything everywhere, right? So I used mega foam, I re-foamed the car, and then once it was foamed down, I took the clay mitt and I ran this over the glass and the paint. I even hit the cargo box, right? So the reason why I do the clay is because, like we're showing over here, that this demonstration is what I did is I essentially like removed the protrusions of the iron. So now it's like, now the iron contamination is inside my paint. It's embedded into my paint, okay? So now what happens is when I spray the iron remover on, it hits this part, and now it starts melting this all the way to where it's protruded all the way in, or embedded itself all the way in. And eventually, after you've done this process a few times, which is what I'm working on right now, is it melts it away so much that it removes it, okay? So because I'm working on something that is like inside the paint, that's embedded into the paint, there's nothing that I could do to make it any more effective. I just need to let the chemical do all the work. And really what I want to do is focus on the areas that are the most affected, which is, like this time I didn't spray as much on the side. I sprayed just barely right here. I sprayed barely right here. I sprayed a lot of the iron remover here, along the bottom rail, right here in this kind of front fender area, back here, and I sprayed a lot on the back of his car right here. Because again, we did this, you'll never know how much contamination you have until you've sprayed this on your car, okay? So here's the thing, you have a white car, and you go to do this process and you spray this on, even after you've like taken the towel and dried the excess water off, and there's like no purple, guess what? Rinse the car off, dry it, and you're done, right? Once you start to see a very minimal amount of purple reaction happening of the thioglycolate in the iron remover with the metallic particles, once you see that get reduced a lot and your orange specks start to reduce down and your paint looks more clear, less orange and black specks everywhere, your iron removing process is done pretty much, right? But again, like somebody asked me, like, how much of this product would I use? I mean, I've used, 2/3 of a bottle, and I've only done half of his car. But again, his white car has never seen a product like this. So the amount of iron contamination on his car is like insane. So it's just taking me extra time, extra effort. Nice detailing seat. It's taking me extra time, extra process to go through this because, I mean, again, it's just a car that's been neglected from decontamination, right? So it sucks. I mean, maybe. Listen, I'd rather be doing this than like typing upstairs, right? Like this is way more fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. So I enjoy this. So it's not a bummer to me, but it's also like really fun to see the transformation of his car go from all these little orange and black specks everywhere to looking better. And then probably what I would do, I mean, I know 100% what I would do after this. There's two things you can do after this, okay? After you're done with this, dry the car, go and polish it, put a ceramic coating on, okay? That's what I would do to this car specifically because he has swirl marks everywhere. It's just, again, it's just a car. It's a daily driven car that goes through every season you could think of, right? So it needs to be decontaminated like crazy. Then it needs to be polished. You can even do a one-step polish, and then it needs to be protected to help with this stuff again, right?
Is this as effective if the vehicle's coated?
Yeah, just as effective. It's kind of the same process. And I said this before, and actually we have a video on like kind of a maintenance process for a ceramic coated vehicle. I do this during that ceramic coating maintenance. I do that ceramic coating maintenance probably every 3 to 4 months. And the reason for that is like your ceramic coating is not void of getting iron contamination embedded into it. It's just not. And if anything, the iron remover process, as well as the clay mitt, is very beneficial to your ceramic coated vehicle. So it's something I strongly, whether your car has H2O garden gloss sealant on it or it has graphene ceramic coating advanced, you should do this every 3 to 4 months, no matter what. This should just be a part of your, like, if let's say it's every 3 months, do a quarterly decon on your car. That's what I would tell you to do. You can do this during the winter, but like realistically, you could wait. You could do this in like October before your winter prep, like during your winter prep process. Make it all the way through winter and get into your spring cleaning, which is like what I'm doing now. Do the decon on it, and then like, let's see, it's what? The end of March. So April, May, June, probably in July, I would do this again. When I have like a decent day, but like I don't want to do this when it's really hot out. I don't want the product to dry super quick. Like I don't want this to be steaming off the glass, right? So Kane's excited. But probably, I mean, July, if I could find like a decent, 70 to 80 degree day, that's probably when I would do it. Look, so I did this. We're going to do the giveaway here in a second. I just want to show you guys again. Like this is the second time I've done this process and still in abundance. Like it's crazy. Oh, someone just commented. Let me see. Nathan says advanced coating is going to give the max protection, but advanced spray is easier to apply, thus making it a favorite because of its ease of use. Now,
Nathan, each other in the comments.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad I got like connected in that little thing. Nathan, you actually bring up a really great point. Like the graphene ceramic coating advanced, like in the little 60 ml bottle, is intended to last like 9 years on your car. But the thing about like Adam's in my perspective is like, you should be doing stuff to your car every year anyways, right? So like I polish my car twice a year. And it's a one step. It's like not even that crazy of a polish, right? So I polish and reapply the spray coating every October, and I polish and reapply the graphene ceramic spray coating in April, right? So like if I'm going through that process to keep my car looking great like multiple times a year, I don't need the 9 years. Okay, so what I would tell people is like, how frequent is your car care process? If your car care process is pretty frequent, like you wash your car, you know, every 2 weeks, you take care of it very consistently, there's no reason to put the 9-year coating on your car, okay? The other part of it for me too is I have a 2008 4Runner and I have like aftermarket suspension that I love, okay? It's Toy Tech suspension. Those guys are awesome, right? I want to protect that stuff. I want to make cleaning that easier. So guess what I do? While I'm spray coating my car, I spray the spray coating onto my suspension. I spray it into my fender wells. I spray it onto my all-weather floor mats. I use it to protect like everything on my car except my interior, right? So it's something that I'm constantly using, which makes my life easier. So I don't need to put a 9-year coating on my car because I know here in 6 to 8 months, I'm gonna redo the whole process anyways. So what's the point of putting a 9-year thing on my car, right? So that's just like a different perspective. And I think if you are somebody that consistently has a car care routine and you're doing this more often, then the spray coating is just equally as great for you as a protection agent as the 9-year 60 mil coating. So there you go, I'm on my soapbox now. Okay, so let's do the giveaway, Chris. So like we said before, we're gonna give away a gallon. Let's start with giving away a gallon of iron remover first.
Okay, Finis HRD.
Finis?
Finis.
Finis HRD, there you go. Finis HRD, you won the gallon of iron remover. So just email me, joe@adamspolishes.com. That's my email. Email me there and I'll get your info and then we'll get the product sent out to you. Now, let's do the iron remover kit, which comes with a 16 ounce of iron remover, a clay mitt, and a gallon of iron remover for a refill. That's a pretty good kit, especially like, you better pick someone that lives in a winter area, dude. Like the Midwest.
I don't know.
Who lives in the Midwest or Colorado or somewhere where it snows a lot? Alaska, come on. How about the Alps? The Italian Alps. What about, where else does it snow? I guess it snows in LA. Pick someone in LA. What?
Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Colorado guy. All right. Colorado is Vader 543.
Vader 543, you won the iron decontamination kit. So, hey, if you're in Colorado, just come by. I don't know where you live, but if you're close. Wait 1 second, 1903. If you're close by, Mr. Vader, Darth Vader, bring it by or come by and we'll get you the kit. If not, just email me, joe@adamspolishes.com, all right? All right, thank you guys for watching. This was like a fun topic. Honestly, I don't talk about this that much, and it's something that like everybody should do, again, like quarterly. I hope this was beneficial to everyone here. Remember, we go live every Wednesday, 1 o'clock Denver time, Mountain Standard Time. So put it on your calendar if you have to. We do it on YouTube. So it's on YouTube every single time. I actually have the next live next week for April 5th. It's already scheduled. It's already up. We're going to be talking about H2O garden gloss. All right. We're going to talk about best practices and how to use that. And just, it's one of my favorite products. So we're going to talk about that next week. So thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Nice.
Yeah.